So why are we trying to push forward? It's obviously for the money, and that bothers me because there's always been this, and I hate saying it like that, but the owner's attitude is, oh, we own you guys. And just kind of that unfairness going on, that they don't see us as human. I just feel like the season shouldn't happen, and I'm prepared for it not to happen, and I wouldn't mind not having it. On that note, we bring in our quarterback, Timothy Hasselbeck. Tim, always good to see you. Max, I'll start with you on this one. Odell Beckham is set to make $14 million this season. How do his comments make the NFL look?
Makes him look bad. And not only that, in a way, unserious. One of the reasons that the NBA, I think, was able to create the situation they have now, which is it looks likely, I'm cautiously optimistic, that they'll actually crown a champion. Now, I can't, you have to admit, most of their season was played, right? So they want that local TV money. They play another 7 or 8 games, and then they go right to the playoffs. But they have a long playoff season. The entire NFL season, if done properly, could fit into the NBA, almost into the NBA playoff season. But one of the reasons the NBA was able to achieve something that I don't think Major League Baseball or the NFL will, namely crowning a champion, was there's much more trust between ownership and also commissioner in the form of Adam Silver and the players. They believe that both sides are good faith operators, good faith actors. They're negotiating in a serious way to have a season. I don't think that's the case in the NFL. Guys, we had Marquise Goodwin on, who, by the way, has been to hell and back in his personal life. You wouldn't wish what's happened in his personal life on your worst enemy, and has come out of it and faced it like a man. And on this show, I asked him, if the NFL were to propose something like, look, we can't do 16 or 17 games. It's not realistic. We could do 8 games, and we can have a couple bubbles set up, 3, 4, however many it takes, bubbles set up that you can't be with your family, because he tried to turn, well, if I could be with my family. No, you can't be with your family. You got to be away, let's say, for 10 weeks. But if you do that, you'll make it to the playoffs, and then you can visit, you reset, whatever. But you have that 10-week period, let's say in an 8-week season, an 8-game season you can get in. Would you sign up for that? And he didn't rule it out. That is a serious proposal. The NBA was serious about this. I don't think Major League Baseball is serious. At least I don't think the Players Union was. And partly I blame that on the owners. They always are trying to pull fast ones on the players so the players don't trust them. And partly it's other stuff too, I'm sure. But at the NFL too, the owners are not realizing we have to cut our losses now. We probably will lose money this season, but let's lose as little money as possible. Let's get out ahead of this. We're not going to get 16 or 17 games in the middle of a pandemic with no vaccine, and we're not going to have bubbles and stuff. It's just not going to happen. But can we get half our games in? Can we do it like this? And if they were to come to the players with a serious proposal like that, my guess is guys like Odell Beckham Jr. would say, okay, these are good faith operators. We can try to maybe figure this out because they're being sensible. Forget about the greed and the fact that the owners see them a certain way as chattel instead of people, all that stuff. They would think that they're serious and they'd have a shot. I think Odell's comments make the NFL look bad. It highlights what they've done wrong.
First of all, listen, here's my position. I don't agree with Odell Beckham Jr. And to be honest with you, Max, I'm a bit annoyed by what he had to say. Listen, first of all, Odell Beckham Jr. is guaranteed $16.75 million for this upcoming season, on top of the $2.75 million from his 2020 base salary. That's a guarantee of $19.5 million for this upcoming season. And that's while he's in the midst of a 5-year, $77 million contract. While a pandemic is going on, and despite that pandemic going on, the NFL is saying, we're conducting business, but if you don't want to play, don't play. So when you have that choice, stop bringing up stuff like, oh, it's like they own us, because you know what he's alluding to when you're saying that. And there's a time and a place for it, and more importantly, there's a sequence or there is a particular incident or whatever the case may be that comes into play where that's a bit more apropos. It's a bit more applicable, okay? Not when you're an NFL player who's making millions and has been given the right to walk away for the season. The NFL is choosing to conduct business. They have made it clear. We would like to know we would like to know sooner than later if you elect not to play. But you do have the choice not to play, and you're not going to lose your contract for it. It's just that you're not going to get paid for this season that you choose not to participate in. It's very, very simple. Last time I checked, that's freedom of choice. So how are you going to go and do an interview with the Wall Street Journal and say, I don't even think we should be playing, but in the same breath saying, oh, I'm going to play? Well, make up your damn mind. Are you going on principle and you feel this way, or do you not? And oh, by the way, listen, I'm a black man. When you're going to bring up race, make it count, please. Could you make it count? That's all I ask. Make it count. Something like this, because they're having the NFL, who employs you, okay, is choosing to have a season. By the way, you're choosing to have that to play in that season. You got your hand out for your check, right? But in the same breath, you're going to complain about the season that you've elected to participate in, knowing you're going to get paid for it? What type of damn sense does that make? It makes no sense whatsoever. And when you bring up race in this equation, a white guy like you, Max, a white guy like you, Tim, or white folks all across the nation, they sit up there and all of a sudden you sit up there and go like this, what is this? Because this ain't what we've been talking about here. This is not what the protests have been about. The protests have been about racial oppression, racial inequality, things of that nature. That isn't applicable to you in this sequence, Odell Beckham Jr., or any other NFL player. You have the choice to play and get paid, or don't play and don't get paid. It's a choice. And if it's a choice, guess what? You made it. Don't make it and whine. I tell people this all the time, Max. If you got a problem, we can talk about it. You got two choices. Let's resolve it, or let's not resolve it and be on our merry way. What you're not going to do is be in my face saying you accept the circumstances, but you moaning about it too. You don't get to do both. And that's what Odell Beckham Jr. is doing here.